I promised a field trip to Yerushalayim. So there you go. Yad Avshalom is in Yerushalayim. Where exactly in Yerushalayim? It is in the valley of Kidron. Where is the valley of Kidron? Let's use Google Maps to show you where is the valley of Kidron. And where should we start? New York, Washington, D.C.? Let's start at New York. You just had the New Year's in New York, right? So New York, we're flying from New York. I'll share this. Okay. Can you see New York, guys? Very good. So you can sit in your chairs. You don't have to worry about the pilot here. Very, very experienced. Crossing the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, getting into Europe. Okay, this is Europe, North Africa, and going through the Straits of Gibraltar in from the Atlantic Ocean into the Mediterranean Sea. And the Mediterranean basin is the area of the old world, if you will. Ancient history happens around this Mediterranean Sea. And you can see Europe in the north. You can see North Africa in the south of the Mediterranean Sea. And to the most eastern coast of the Mediterranean is the area of the Levant, or the land of Canaan. We're diving into Yerushalayim, into the land of Israel. You can see, I'll show you some cool stuff. You can see, for instance, this is a southern border with Egypt. You can see how there is no real reason for the geography to dictate a different color, but you can still see a different color based on the political division between Israel and Egypt here. Why? Less grazing on the Israeli side. Okay. By the way, there are other examples for that. Zooming out a little bit, Israel, Mediterranean Sea, Sea of Galilee, Dead Sea. Yerushalayim is, if you see the top of the Dead Sea, you take a little bit to the west, you get to Yerushalayim, you get to Jerusalem. So this is Yerushalayim. The modern Jerusalem is quite big, as you can see, but the old city of Jerusalem, what is roughly the city and how it looked from the 2nd century, is this 1 square kilometer, very small. To the east of Jerusalem, you have the ridge that we know as the Mount of Olives, right? I'll just show you the terrain so you see it's a ridge. Okay, this is the Mount of Olives, or Mount Scopus, Mount of Olives. It's part of the same ridge. And this is Mount of Olives. This is the Temple Mount. Okay, the Temple Mount, and between them you have the Valley of Kidron. Okay, the Valley of Kidron. Yad Avshalom is part of this complex of Jewish tombs that really extends on the Mount of Olives, but it's in the Valley of Kidron. It's here. You cannot really see it directly from above because of the tree, but this is the area of Yad Avshalom. Just so you get the context, here is the Temple Mount on the left-hand side of the picture. Here is the Mount of Olives. Okay, the 7 Arches Hotel. Okay, Dominus Flevit is in the middle. It's the same height as the Temple Mount, roughly. You can see that the Mount of Olives is higher than the Temple Mount. This is Dominus Flevit, where you would have also the place of the sacrifice of the red heifer, Mount of Olives, and very important areas within Mount of Olives. The Church of Gethsemane is also here, and at the bottom, okay, near the road itself, the Tomb of the Virgin, the Church of Gethsemane. That's the Wadi of Kidron, Nachal Kidron. Moving in to the Tomb of Avshalom, Yad Avshalom, is a monumental structure. It's a big structure standing in the valley of Kidron, next to other tombs, next to other monuments. It's at the foothill of the Mount of Olives, okay, facing the eastern wall of the Temple Mount, which is also the eastern wall of the old city of Jerusalem. Very famous and very misunderstood monument. Okay, it's known as Yad Avshalom, and popular belief has it connected to Avshalom, the son of David, again related to the succession of David and the death of David. So Avshalom is one of, again, an older son that did not get to succeed David, in the same line of thought that we had with Joseph succeeding Jacob and Ephraim succeeding Joseph. Avshalom did not get to succeed David. And I'm reading the verse, ואבשלום לקח ויצב לו וחייב את מצבת אשר בעמק המלך, כי אמר אין לי בן, בעבור הזכיר שמי. ויקרא למצבת על שמו, ויקרא לה יד אבשלום עד היום הזה. So Absalom erected this monument, this standing monument in the valley of the king, because he said, I have no son to invoke my name, to keep my name alive. Vayikra lamatzevit al shmo. So he named that monument, he named that pillar, standing monument, after himself. Vayikare la yad Avshalom ad hayom hazeh. So its name is Absalom's monument to this very day. So there is a monument erected by a pillar erected by Avshalom, the son of David, who rebelled against David, and it's in the King's Valley, okay? And people certainly identified this structure with the monument of Avshalom. This is just a second. The decided to not work. Okay. Let's see. Just a second. I'll put it on again. Okay. With me. Okay. Okay. So now, despite the traditional name Yad Avshalom, it has nothing to do with Avshalom. It's not from David's time, and that's an archaeological consensus that it is not from the First Temple period. Why? The overall structure has so many late Hellenistic elements, architectural elements, that excluded the possibility of this being a First Temple period structure. I'm not saying there are no First Temple period caves in that region, but they are not elaborate in this way, and they're nothing like this. Okay, there are many Hellenistic and Roman features, uh, like the type of columns, the type of conical roof that you can see. So this makes the monument to be at least 1,000 years later than Avshalom. So putting Avshalom, the story of Avshalom a little bit to rest, you can see, okay, you can see the similarity. Before I tell you whose monument it is on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side, you have the tomb of Avshalom. The size is not exactly the same. The one on the right-hand side is even a little bit bigger. But do you see that they have a fairly similar style? Can you see they have a very similar style, guys?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. On the right-hand side, we have the reconstruction of the tomb of one very famous Herod the Great. Okay, it's reconstructed by the archaeologist Ehud Netzer, who dug the Herodium. I don't know if you got to visit the Herodium, the mountain that Herod built for himself as a place of burial. Maybe we go there when on October. We have so many places to go. We have to decide where we don't go. Okay, so it's that you can see the type of ornaments, the type of building, and it definitely belonged to someone important. Okay, and the suggestion is that Yad Avshalom is actually the tomb of Agrippa I. Okay, or as he is known in the New Testament as Herod as well. Okay, Herod, Herod was the name of Herodes or Hodus, the famous one with the massacre of the innocents. That's the grandfather of Herod the First, of Agrippa the First. Herod Agrippa, the grandson, died in the beginning of the 40s. His death is also described in Caesarea in the New Testament as well as in Josephus. Okay, and Agrippa the First fits because of various reasons. Again, the time, the scale, you can see it's similar to that of a king. The location, Jerusalem, he was the king of Judah. Okay, it's not so simple that he was the king of Judah. He was the last king of Judah that was recognized by the Romans. Again, his father, the generation after Herod, they were not very successful, but his grandson, Agrippa the First, was. He was favored by the Jewish people. Cannot say the same about his, the generation before him. Okay, in as much as they told him, "You are our brother, Achinu ata," famously mentioned in the Mishnah. This is a prestigious burial zone, this Kidron Valley. We can see that next to the Yad Avshalom, we have the valley of a family of high priests, the sons of Chazir, and Zechariah, what is known as the tomb of Zechariah as well. So this is just watching over from the Temple Mount. Okay. The architecture is a combination of Jewish burial practices and Roman and Hellenistic. So it's someone Jewish, someone connected to the Roman. This combination suits Agrippa I as a Jewish Roman king operating with a Jewish king operating within the broader imperial context of the Roman Empire. Okay, we don't have any known place of burial for Agrippa I, even though we have other sources. So according to the scholars, in this case specifically Gabi Balkai, who also dug out the silver emulates from the Valley of Hinnom, okay, this Yad Avshalom is actually the tomb of Agrippa I, and it fits archaeologically, architecturally, historically, all pointing towards Agrippa I. Last thing about the myth of Absalom. Okay. Do you see how the tomb is buried in kind of rubble, in stones? These are 19th century pictures or early 20th century pictures. Because the traditional popular tradition was that this is the tomb of Absalom, everyone who would see that would stone this area and would say, listen, this is what you do to a son who rebels against his parents. And if there was a child who misbehaved, they would take him and they would show him the tomb, and they would sometimes even hit him, and they tell him, you have to stone that structure of a son who misbehaved against his parents. Okay, so you know that this is what they do to someone who rebels against their parents. This became both Jewish and Muslim tradition to throw stone at the monuments or to hit your kids if they're misbehaving at the place of, I'm not kidding, at the place of the tomb of Absalom. So this goes back to the biblical tradition in the book of Deuteronomy of what parents should do to a disobedient child. They should stone, they should rebuke him and stone him. So the whole people stones, that's Deuteronomy 21, okay? And so Absalom was perceived as the ultimate son who rebels against his parents, so they would stone his monument. So that's a bit about Yad Avshalom. True story, guys. True story. Next time you visit Jerusalem, you can visit the tomb of Agrippa I, known as the tomb of Absalom. And Shabbat Shalom. And I have to split. Bye-bye, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.
Always a pleasure. Bye-bye.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.